I think it'll work because you did it. You did that first round. Right now, right now. Okay. All right. I'm just glad I don't look orange. I can't hear you now. Go down one room to go to another room to go to another room. Yeah, I can hear you.
This one. Okay, so we got 3 viewers in here and they're watching us fucking set this up.
I can hear you.
Should be good. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
This one.
Number 3.
We're good. We're good. Okay, so we got 3 viewers in here and they're watching us fucking set this up.
San Diego to
All right.
OC.
San Diego to OC. How it all came together. All right, so we're live right now. Welcome back.
I'll let all the people know too. If you ever try to drive to San Diego to Orange County, if you look at a map, you think it's going to take you a very short time. However, if you get caught up in traffic, it could take you 4 hours.
Yeah, that shit's a bitch. That's why I didn't go to the weigh-ins on that Friday.
And if you try to go Orange County to LA, that's another 4 hours.
Yeah, OC to LA is another 4 hours during 5 p.m.
Don't get caught in any traffic or any fucking construction. It's
100%.
over. It's over.
And there's even there's even traffic going to Laguna Beach from OC, from my little spot in Laguna Niguel.
Go to Venice Beach, you're gonna get stuck for 2 hours.
Yeah. Traffic is just a part of life over here in Cali for sure, in SoCal. But we're back again, episode 3 with my boy DJ MTK from the MMA Homies. I figured today we'll talk about some of the hot topics like Donald Cerrone and Dana White. Dana White's rankings panel that he's going to be switching up, and then also we'll discuss Francis Ngannou and Renan Ferreira, and then also the biggest topic, right? Mike Perry's DUI arrest. So I think to start off, we'll go into Mike Perry. Fucking, did you see what he said to the cops when they arrested him?
He was talking some shit. Yeah, I saw that.
But
I liked some of the comments too. It was like, oh, that's Mike Perry. Just he talked like that sober.
Yeah. The funniest part is that would never happen to a white guy. But the one thing they didn't say in that clip was Mike. The cops told Mike, they're like, "Hey, you are talking a little bit slow, so I think you might be impaired." And he's like, "You guys are just talking fast."
That's a good one, actually.
That's a good one, right? That's totally Mike Perry. But do you think that he might be crashing out because of this whole Jake Paul loss, or what do you think is happening?
I mean, if you put anybody in the market, look, I got a DUI.
Yeah.
So I mean, he should be smart. We see all these. Every athlete, for whatever reason, has been tested in this for this same thing, and you have to be smarter. Where Mike Perry could have got a driver.
Yeah, he was driving around his girl and I don't know if his kid was in the car or not.
Uber, you could. I mean, it could be a few things here. Could he be going down? How many times has he done it before and we don't even know about it until the time he got caught? Because you typically, like, I'll use myself as an example. It becomes a a way of just living. Oh yeah, I drink, I'll drive, no big deal. Millions of people doing that, but you get caught, and then you get put under the microscope, and all these questions are going to come about. Does he have a problem? Is he on the downfall? You're drinking on was that a Tuesday?
I think it was a Saturday.
Okay, it was on the weekend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not as bad as getting arrested on a Monday.
Do you think though that maybe these cops pulled him over just because he's Mike Parry in Florida, and I heard he grew up like a problem guy, so when he was in his teens and shit like that, he was getting arrested and stuff, so they know him, right? And then he's progressed. Now he's a world famous athlete. You hear about Boosie talking about these guys being hypnotized with hatred. You think that maybe that has something to do with him getting pulled over? Like he was teed, but he was like okay to drive?
Isn't he a Trumper?
I mean, probably. Most fighters are.
And most, like down in Florida, I don't know. I don't think it's that part of the equation. I think maybe he just was like literally just driving bad.
Do you think it's because he's black or no?
I don't think that either, bro. Like, he's not a gangbanger.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's not like out here like thugging on the streets, like, strapped up, ready, out here putting in work. I just think he got caught up and was driving bad, and it comes with the territory when you want to, drink and drive. I mean, is there a chance he was getting racially profiled? Maybe.
Because he was saying, right? He was saying in that arrest footage that I posted on Instagram, he's like, well, first off, he refused the sobriety test, but then he's like, they know who I am. I'll be out soon. These are just a couple F words. And but basically they know who I am. They know what they're doing. So that's what made me ask you that question, as far as like, do you think they're hypnotized with hatred?
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, of course. I do think that.
You see posters of him fighting Jake Paul. You hear about the kids talking about Jake Paul, right? Mike Parry fighting him, and you're a cop. And maybe you arrested this guy, and he says something to you like, okay, Mike just said in this arrest, right? He said, yeah, check that receipt. I bet you that's cost more than anything your wife owns.
Right.
Mike probably said that when he was 16 as well.
Yeah.
So these cops don't like him. Now he's a grown man with money.
I mean, I guess that, could have the cops had a vendetta for the past, what is Mike Parry, 30-something now?
Yeah.
Have they had a vendetta for the past 15 years? That's kind of a push almost. I don't think the cops are going into the station every night and be like, oh, who's watching Mike Parry tonight?
Yeah. Okay. Go on. Finish that.
I don't think they have like a picture of his car at the station. Like, hey, here's a list of all the guys that we don't fucking like. And, if you see him tonight, make sure you pulled his ass over. And, if he even gives a hint of weed, whatever, alcohol, make sure to arrest that dude. Because he probably would have been arrested a lot more times.
Possibly.
I don't know what his track record is being pulled over. And I'm assuming he was drunk.
I'm assuming he was teed.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So like maybe he would have failed the breathalyzer, but it's one of those things where like, a homie who's been like, I might fail the breathalyzer, but I'm gonna drive home.
Oh, what did I just say?
Yeah. I think that's what he did. I don't think he was plastered, but I'm sure, whatever the case. I'm just kind of wondering, and we'll never know the answer, but did these cops pull him over because they saw his Mike Parry in the car?
But how would they have known? It was at nighttime. How would they have known that? Either they know his car, right?
Right.
They know his license plate. You can run the license plate before you pull somebody over. I guess, we could, TMZ or somebody probably will eventually release the footage of what the car looked like before they pulled him over. He was like going like this. And we was like, all right.
Something like that, yeah. So we'll find out.
If that was the case, it would be like, all right, yeah, your ass deserved to get pulled over.
Yeah.
Dude.
But let me get the quote exact before I ask you what I was going to ask you.
Because even when I had got pulled over for the DUI, I refused the breathalyzer.
Yeah, smart man.
That's an automatic year driver's license revoked.
When you refuse it?
When you refuse it.
Oh.
Automatic. The I don't know how the laws are in Florida. In California, you revoke it, they issue a warrant to pull your blood. So the cops have now, don't get me started about what the cops can and can't do. I don't know how that's even legal. However, they then can restrain you to draw your blood through the court order. They can get a warrant from a judge to
I would
say,
I would imagine that's probably it, because my thought is this: when you deny the breathalyzer, you're trying to delay the time so that you can pass it. And they're like, okay, we know what you're doing, so we'll just blood test you instead.
yeah.
Yeah. And then Mike ended up going to court. So who knows if he submitted a blood test? But
But that's what I mean. But that's what I mean. They don't even need your permission to submit it. As long as they get the judge to write off on it. Like I said, I don't know what the laws are in Florida. I know in California, they get the judge to sign off on the warrant, and they can restrain you and pull the blood from you.
Damn.
By your consent.
That's
Just off
crazy.
top.
Well, yeah, because I guess the judge consents for you.
Well, the judge is saying, yeah, we're doing a warrant on your body.
Yeah. Okay. And
when they told me that shit, I was like, oh, really?
you're like, where's the breathalyzer? Let me blow into that bitch. Hey, so you said that they don't have a poster of Mike, and that brought up a good point to me, because when I watched that arrest footage, I believe they now have a poster of Mike up there, and we'll be doing exactly what you said that they haven't been doing for 15 years. I bet you they're going to do that now. And just to get the quote exactly, this is why I believe they put a picture up, because Mike said, "Take a look at that receipt, motherfucker. Your wife ain't got shit that costs that much." Oh boy, they put a picture of him up as soon as they got back to the station.
They're flexing for sure. He was flexing for sure.
It's a good flex, but dude, that's ballsy, because those cops are going to have a vendetta now. If they didn't before, you're getting pulled over a lot more now. I guarantee it.
But I would say this though, you have to think. I like how our conversations goes, because we see things differently, so it's a good like counter. Think about how many people they see on a daily basis that are either worse or better. That they just every day go through the ringer of someone yelling at them. Every day they're going through the ringer of abusing somebody. It's this constant battle. So if that cop has seen in the past 30 days 100 people that he's arrested, 1,200 in the year, it just becomes like a constant, like it's like going to the DMV.
Like they're almost so busy they don't have time to take things to the next degree of carrying it with them.
Just keep going in. They're fucking taking people in and out. They're now back out on the street. Now they've got to go home. Fuck, dude, like the low key, most cops are alcoholics themselves.
They go drink after work and shit.
Drinking, driving, come on, you know what I mean? Like that's a system within a system, and a game of money. And how many people you think could get employed going through the court system? Judges.
Oh yeah.
Attorneys. The people at the all the admin people. I mean, it's just a huge system that they have of all money that goes just revolving. So there's so many levels to that conversation. Honestly, the vendetta thing, it'd be hard to like say that they've ousted him unless he personally did something, maybe to like a sheriff or like district attorney or like a mayor, someone at a very high level.
Something more dirty than just shouting insults over a DUI arrest.
Oh yeah, they could get over that, bro. They're probably like, oh, bro, we've heard that all day.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, because anybody who's worked a regular job, right? I feel like you get consumed in that job, and it's hard to even like, what's the word? Try to fucking finesse things within that job because you're so busy just working. What?
Yeah, you get watered down. It's like when a judge hands people 20 years to life in prison. He's just so used to it.
Yeah. And
it's
so,
like, dude, you just gave someone life. Yeah, it's like my 10th time this month.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So, okay, but to wrap it up then, Boosie. Mm-hmm. You think Boosie has a point with? Yeah, Boosie Badass. You think he has a point?
Well, he's on a different. Yeah.
Because he was in the court systems the whole time.
Yeah, and at that level, you see.
And he was gangbanging, right?
Yeah, you have there's levels to this shit, right? Like if you're hanging on the block selling drugs, strapped up, gang affiliated, gang wars, in and out of prison, you're already messing with the law and playing with that. It's us versus them.
Yeah.
I don't think Mike Parry wakes up and like. I think if you were to interview him, I bet he's like, oh, I highly respect cops. If you were to interview Boosie Badass, man, fuck cops.
Right.
They're the enemy.
I hear you.
They're the ops.
So it's more so, Boosie's more so like ingrained in him. He don't fuck with the cops.
Yeah.
But Mike, it's a little bit more chill.
I bet if someone were to talk to him in the heat of the moment, you're like, yeah, fuck cops. especially when they're trying to handcuff you.
But later on, he doesn't really mind it.
I think if you were, like I said, we'd have to talk to the man, but I would put money on it that he personally doesn't like have some vendetta himself versus cops.
Okay.
I bet you in a couple of weeks, in a month, they go and do his plea deal. He's like, man, I really like cops. I respect law enforcement. Why? We'll run the tape. We'll keep the receipts.
All right, we'll see. We would love to have Mike on the show anyway, right?
Yeah. Chop it up.
If Mike wants to come on and tell us his thoughts, if they're hypnotized with hatred or not. We'd love to hear the whole backstory.
Get an Uber, Mike. Get an Uber, Playboy. You don't need this. You don't need this drama in your life, bro.
Why do you think he doesn't take an Uber? What do you think?
He probably got cocky. Like, man, like you just said, a lot of us, you just say, well, I'm just driving down the street.
Right.
Especially when you're already used to doing it and it already becomes something that you've done all the time and never got caught with it, just keep doing it.
Because John never gets Ubers and shit. Maybe he does now, but that's been John's problem for years.
John Jones?
John Jones.
Oh, that's another perfect example, bro.
Yeah. I think with being a fighter too, there's a little bit of like, I think they're just not really inclined. They're like, I'll do it myself. I ain't waiting on nobody. That's just a little bit of a guess on my end. So that's why they opt to not.
I mean, like with me personally, I did it so many times that I was just like, yeah, I'm driving. No, I'm not. No one's driving me.
Yeah.
Fuck. I'm even being super intoxicated. I think about all the times I wasn't caught, that I should have been caught.
Yeah.
Those are the things. It's the times that you get caught. There's like, dude, I barely was even drinking though.
Yeah.
But you have to remind yourself about all the times that you didn't get caught and you were probably super fucked up. You are putting people in harm. If you really, if Mike, sober Mike, would talk to drunk Mike, be like, dude, come on, you're better than that, bro.
Right. It's a dangerous thing. So it's not chill to be doing that. But I think everybody's done it. And the reason why I feel like if I'm putting myself in this position when I was, less mature, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I just want to go home. Like, I just want to go home. I'm uncomfortable here. I'm trying to. But sometimes you get kicked out. They're like, hey, you got to go.
If you can, dude, I took a Uber with the homies to the casino, like 45 minutes from where we're at right now, faded. But the next day, I kind of thanked myself. I was like, bro, I did myself a service by spending $100.
Well, because you were faded.
Yeah.
Or drunk.
No, I was drunk.
Okay.
Faded, yeah.
Because it's okay if you drive when you're faded.
See, but I can't test those waters anymore. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, because
I already have a DUI.
Dude, I'll smoke a fresh bowl and I'll drive straight to the gym.
Say that again?
I'll smoke a fresh bowl and drive straight to the gym.
Yeah, and we're talking weed and alcohol. You're talking almost two different things, right?
I always feel like it's unprovable, but
yeah, I mean,
my homie, when I go to the gym sometimes, my homie's like, you smell like weed, and I'm like, fuck. So
yeah, I mean, alcohol is a depressant. It's a natural depressant. It's gonna slow you down the more and more and more you drink. I've even listened back to some of the podcasts I do when I'm hella faded, bro. I can hear it.
The slow talking.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking I'm fresh, but I can just hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of us are like that. And I'm a drinker, bro. Believe me, I'm a drinker. Anybody out there? I'm a drinker. MTK, he'll drink. He'll get faded with you.
Yeah. Oh, that's what you mean when faded, like teed.
Yeah.
Teed up. I think faded like smoking weed.
Yeah.
So, I smoke more weed than anything.
See, and so like we're talking not apples and oranges almost, because you can get to a point where you smoke enough, bro. You just out.
Yeah, out like a light.
Yeah. Well, you shouldn't be driving. Can you shake it off? Maybe you kind of drink like a Red Bull. You could probably shake it off. Alcohol is a lot harder to shake off.
Way harder to shake off.
Way harder to shake off.
Night and day.
When you're fucked up, you fucked up.
Right.
And you think you're coherent, but you're not. Anyway, moral of the story is, for anybody out there that is listening to this, you're better than that. Take the Uber, pay the $20, pay the $40. It's not worth putting yourself in the system, and it's not worth you putting other people in jeopardy. You're actually being selfish.
Gotcha.
And I remember someone told that to me. I was like, you know what? It took me a while to think about it because I was so like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna drive. Fuck that. Give me my keys back.
And you're like that.
Yeah, exactly.
The homie hides your keys. You're like, give them back.
But we've always been like that. But it took me to like, okay, I'm better than that. I have more to lose now. Like, why am I doing all these things in my life to try to get here to then go take 10 steps backwards?
Facts.
It's not worth
it. Yeah, bro. That's a big step back.
Yeah.
You can't even drive and shit like that. Okay. But also, Tony Ferguson apparently got off with his DUI because he refused the fucking breathalyzer and shit. So I don't know. Maybe it works to.
I got too many stories like this, bro. I got pulled over. There's been a handful of times I got pulled over, and for whatever reason, I was able to talk my way out of it. When I should have put in jail. I remember one time, bro, the breathalyzer didn't work, and I told the cop, I was like, bro, I live down the street. Follow me there.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't super like faded, but I was like, he probably could have got me, and it wasn't working. I was like, dude, literally, I live down the street. Just follow me there. Like, I'm still coherent enough to like manipulate the conversation.
Yeah.
And he was like, all right, dude, just get out of here. I'm like, all right, fool, I'm gone.
That's chill. I feel like if you act a certain way too, because I've also been let off for, like, when I was younger, I had like an ounce of weed in the car. And then I lied at first. I was like, he's like, you got any? Yeah, he's like, you got any weed? I'm like, nah, dude,
Hell no.
He's like, you sure?
No.
You sure? And I'm like,
weed.
He's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I got something. And he's like, what do you got? And I was like, I got an ounce. And he's like, oh, that's it? Like, not a pound? And I'm like, yeah, not a pound, just an ounce. Like, only 28 grams is nothing, even though it's like the biggest fucking like amount I could pick up at the time. And yeah, he's like, all right, like, because you like ended up being honest, I don't appreciate that you lied at first, but you seemed honest after that, and you seemed like a good kid. You were just playing poker with your homies and shit, so I'll let you go home. Like, if you were out drinking and shit, doing some other things, then I might have like arrested you right here. But he's like, you told me you were playing poker, you're just driving home, you had some weed on you, it's all good. So I feel like it's case by case. Like, when they have a excuse to arrest you, they don't always do it if there's like, backstory as far as like how you're kind of.
And your attitude's going to determine a lot. Believe me, I'm the worst when it comes to having conversations with cop. I like to run my mouth like Mike Parry did yesterday.
Oh, you like to do that?
Oh, I'm the worst, bro. I'm like, man, fuck you.
Bro, when I got not arrested, but when I got like dealt with them when I was younger, I was so young that like I was just getting so scared. Like my heart rate was up like 1,000,000 miles an hour and shit. So I never had any balls to talk shit. But I've had my fair share of like issues with them, but I was just complying shit.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite side. I'm like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, I've over complied. Looking back,
see that I'm under. I'm like, no, I'm not listening.
Yeah, I had to do community service and shit because I over complied when I should have just dipped. But yeah, I was like smoking weed in my car. Some like rent-a-cop came in my neighborhood, and then like I got out of the car and he's like, "Oh, like you're smoking and shit," and he called the cops. And I literally sat there and waited for them to come when my house was like fucking right there.
I would have been like, dude, I remember one time when I was living downtown in San Diego, there was like the rent-a-cop security there. He comes up and he starts knocking on the door and shit in my place. We had a party or something. Oh, you gotta turn it down. I was like, man, I pay rent here.
Yeah.
Turn down shit.
You're like, fuck you.
Yeah, bro, I was in his face, dude. I was fucking hella mad. I was like, bro, don't you ever fucking come to my fucking apartment again. I fucking pay rent in this I was in his ass. I went and made a complaint on him Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was Sunday night. I was infuriated. They go back, they run the tables like, dude, you were berating this man up and down the halls for an hour. And I looked at the tape, I was like, I felt so bad for bro. I wouldn't apologize to him because he didn't deserve that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you're just teed up. He came to your house telling you what to do. You weren't having it.
I was so upset. And then it was like, looking back, if I wasn't drinking, you know what I mean? Like, I could have handled the situation so much better. He was just trying to do his job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I wasn't trying to hear that at the time.
Speaking of that, though, I got one more story, and then we'll switch the topic. Because about the times where I overcomplied.
Yeah.
When I was younger, my mom was like out at the bar with her friends, right? So I was at home with like my homies in like middle school.
I was a little faded. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And this is back in the day. This is like 8th grade, like middle school.
Okay.
But I'm with all the homies, and I got like a cousin who's living with me. His name was J-Boy. He's his name's J-Boy. But
like he's still alive.
Yeah. His name's J-Boy. And
shout out to J-Boy.
Shout out to J-Boy. But we went, he was just chilling downstairs, like playing video games on his computer or some shit, and like me and 4 friends like came downstairs and we egged my neighbor, like my next door neighbor, like across the street. And then we all like ran back inside, but it's like condos. So it's like stories and shit. Like it's hard to find the exact building. And long story short, somehow, bro, the cops found the building that my exact apartment that we threw the eggs out of. And bro, the cops knocked on the door and my cousin let those motherfuckers in.
J-Boy.
Dude,
come on, dog.
He let those motherfuckers in. These guys came upstairs to my room. We're all pretending to be asleep and they just dragged our asses downstairs, sat us on the floor. Called my mom and shit. But looking back, because I watched like a bunch of police shit, Whenever there's like these domestic calls and nobody answers the door, the cops just leave. So I'm like, every time I see that, I'm like, dude, J-Boy should have never answered the fucking door.
Yeah, don't answer the door.
Yeah. So that was one of them where I got fucked, but it's all good.
But I think I'm still recording on my end.
Recording stopped.
Oh, perfect. There you go. I'm recording over here, so we're all good. Now, back to Donald Cerrone and Dana White. Mm-hmm. Let's go talk about Donald Cerrone and Dana, and then we'll talk about the rankings panel.
Okay.
Because I'm curious what you think about that.
Yeah.
But with Donald and Dana, you think Donald's ran out of money or what? That wasn't my first thought, but shit, he might have ran out of money.
You know what I thought? First thought when I heard that was that low key I felt like for the first time I see Dana White trying to say, man, maybe I need to start helping some of these guys out. Maybe we need to institute something that will give them another outlet after fighting.
Yeah.
Because even my co-producer Ray had told me, we had talked about it too, is like some of these guys, bro, and you know, this is all they know. When you an athlete in NBA, NFL, boxing, MMA, you know, Dana White said he probably misses when he walks out. That's a high in itself, just walking out to the arena, hearing everybody chant your name, you know, and Dana's right. I mean, what are you coming back to prove? We're not contending for a championship fight anymore. You've done everything you needed to do. You've done it at the highest levels. You have to kind of be at peace with riding into the sunset. Dustin Poirier talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, but he's coming back now.
You know what? And these are examples. You know, if you're not running for if you're not fighting for the championship anymore, what are we really doing? And so when I heard Dana say that, I was like, my hat's off to you, because I didn't expect you to even care. I'm more expecting to be like, dude, like, no, he should retire. What the fuck? And move on. He added a layer to it and said, you know, maybe we should find something else for him to do.
Right.
He needs money. And what did we talk about before too? I think Vaughn had said something. There's these categories of where these fighters are at. And some of these fighters on the back end who have done the highest at the highest level may still need money. What else are they going to go do to make money? They may not even know.
Cerrone hasn't figured it out, it seems. I mean, he's got a ranch.
Well, that's 90% of fighters.
Yeah. What's crazy, though, is Cerrone's made, like, millions.
But it's easy for us to say here.
Yeah, because that's the same thing that happens with NFL players, right?
Every millionaires, entertainment.
Yeah.
Movie stars, singers. You know, we're all human, and not all of us are getting a financial planner, an advisor when you're having these millions of dollars. $1 million might be 400,000. You may go put a down payment on a house. You get a car. All of a sudden, that $1 million became 50 G's real quick.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I guess I used to see Donald building a lot on his property, so he's got a fat ass house, but I think maybe he has a fat house and not really any way of making income off of that house. Unless he's got some type of ranch deal where he's like, you know, having kids come and like he takes them to like ride horses and shit.
I mean, it's either one or two things, right? He's still craving the arena, craving the fight.
Part of me doubts that.
Part
of me doubts that. Part of me thinks that, like, right, because
money?
Well, because he said he's like, I want to come back to make it an even 50-0. And now with what Dana said, thinking about how he said like he wants to come back and make it an even 50-0, I'm like, I think that's the best fake excuse you were able to give fans. Because you can't admit that it's for money. So you ended up just saying, I want to make it an even 50. So it makes me kind of lean towards the fact of like, yeah, it's not because you missed the octagon or missed the walkouts, because you would have said that. You said that you just want to make it an even 50. Like, who cares about a round number? Like, I feel like it has to do with...
Like, that's what he's chasing to complete.
Like a round number. Like, it's like, you're not even chasing the fans. You didn't say, I missed the fans. You're like, I want 2 more fights to make it an even 50. And the other thing on top of that, he's already got like 50 fights. But he's talking about like under the UFC banner. So it's like you're also stretching it. Like you had to go Google, like how many fights do I have under Zuffa? Okay, 48. All right, so I want to come back for 2 more to make it an even 50. If he had 46 fights, he might have said he's coming back for 4 more.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really find it very genuine after what Dana said, and I don't really support it because this is something I was thinking about, and I feel like people aren't really talking about it that much. Not that they have to, but I'll tell you.
Okay.
John Jones recently came out. He's talking about CTE, taking big headshots in the gym, going home with headaches,
Right.
and these kinds of things. And he really feels nowadays, if he does that, he did something wrong. And he says, I know teammates. I have teammates who towards the end of their career, they couldn't even slip a jab. Bro, he's talking about Donald Cerrone. He's talking about Donald Cerrone.
He lives in New Mexico too, right?
Yeah, he's talking about Diego Sanchez. These are guys that he's talking about.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, Donald, you retired because you couldn't slip a jab. Let's remember that.
And let's think about this too. Maybe Dana is trying to be proactive, knowing that this is going to come bite him in the ass. Because what happened with the NFL, I don't think that this made me think. The UFC doesn't have a union the way the NFL Players Association has it.
Correct.
I don't think there's a fighters union association.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so he's being proactive to say, hey, maybe we need to. Maybe in a year from now, we'll see them roll out like these post-fighter career, whatever they want to word it, right? Broadcasting, training,
like the DC Michael Bisping type thing.
PFL, because they know you don't know what you don't have until you get to that point with a group of fighters that are becoming 40, 50 years old, that are out of it, and they're having all these problems. The NFL didn't know it until they started seeing people kill themselves and had case after case, and they were able to dissect their brains and see all the CTE. Players in the union got in, and then they were able to, start these mass payouts, to hundreds of, families and the players that they had. So he could be proactive behind the scenes now that this conversation. What did Brendan Schaub drop the other day?
His homie Shane Carwin, I think, is like,
but he's
all
like crying.
up.
I kind of, I felt for him. You know what I mean? Because that is a serious conversation to be had within this. It's the NFL especially and the MMA are the most grunt sports, gladiator sport. So these conversations are gonna be a lot more prevalent.
Right. And maybe I'm being hard, but the devil's advocate is always gonna be that it's on you, right, as the individual.
Well, and then what we talk about, a lot of these guys are coming from the gutter. They have nothing.
So it's hard.
When you have nothing, what I'd say, man, I don't give a fuck what happens to me. If I got a chance to go make $1 million, I got a chance to go help my family out, I got a chance to get out of the gutter and become something, bro, you're gonna be chasing that regardless of how much damage you take.
Mm-hmm. So
it's a double-edged sword, right? Do I set up my family for the rest of life, or can I at least have the opportunity to try?
But then it's is it the UFC's fault for even giving them an opportunity that they would have never got in the first place to make the money that they probably would have never made? Right? These are just it's hard. It's hard to say.
Well, think about this. Think about
because there are so many. Sorry, real quick. There are so many journalists who end up being broke, but it's the ones who want to make money who right. If I were to be broke, I wouldn't be oh, this is because journalism sucks. I would kind of be because I didn't make the most out of what I needed to make the most out of, and only the strong survive. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things.
But think about this: a lot of football players now that reach the highest levels and reach tons of money are now asking themselves, would I really want my son to do this? Would I really want my son to put his body through all of this? I'm probably not going to lead him down that road. I'm going to try to say, hey, go get an education. Hey, go do this, go do that. If he decides on his own that he wants to chase this and he's passionate about it, I might not stop him, but I'm not going to try to push him there. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of these fighters are now that are getting to this what we're experiencing is real-time data. If we had a 200 years worth of data of all fighters, and we got to say, oh, now we know what happens to them after the fight game. Now we know what happens to the NFL players after they play. we'd have a more understanding of it. But since we don't know what we don't know. But we're seeing some of the effects little by little come out.
Correct. Yeah, you're kind of seeing it play out, and then they got to adjust to it, right?
And I think Dana's having this. They got to have meetings about this behind the scenes, bro, at high levels. Like, bro, we heard another story.
My thought, and maybe I'm not giving Dana enough credit, I don't think that they're really too worried about it.
I think they're worried, bro.
You think they are?
Worried. I really do. They're never going to come out and say it because you can't admit it. Because then you want to put yourself in a legal bind. But I think behind the closed doors, we're going to see probably in the next 5 years, we're going to just keep seeing more cases, because you're having more fighters now come out of it.
True. And now that you got social media, more broadcasting ability, more people are going to hear about
Muhammad Ali, Holyfield. But we see the results in the boxing world.
And that's why it's important that they make good money, because what they are putting themselves through, it's not something where you can do very much for yourself later in life. Same with like a football, right? When you're so beat up, you can't really take a regular job and stand there for 8 hours because your discs and everything is so fucked up.
And think about this. Think about like what he said about Donald Cerrone, right? He could be like, you know what? Yeah, let's get you back in there. To have someone just fuck you up and beat you up. Who? In a way, maybe he's being a big brother to protect him, because Muhammad Ali didn't know when to say stop, bro. He was getting damaged in his 40s, bro.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you see Mike Tyson out there right now.
But some of these fighters can't protect themselves from themselves. Fighters are a different breed.
Facts.
You've interviewed enough to be like, these guys are different. They think differently. They act differently. They're putting their body in the most harm. And then not the average person wakes up every day and like, hey, let me go get fucked up.
No.
Not drinking, but like physically.
A lot of people quit. There's a lot of turnover. But the guys who make it through, yeah, they're a different breed for sure.
Different. So if that's your identity, and that's all you know, and you don't even know who you are after you retire, you're seeking your identity again.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't find it, what are you going to resort back to, man? I'm a fighter. I'm just going there. That's where I feel at peace.
Right. Yeah, I wish that there was more for them. I think that obviously like YouTube channels is something that's kind of come up as of late. I think it works out because they got the clout from UFC and they're able to kind of capitalize that way. Yeah. Other than like a broadcasting career, though, it's hard. What other job is there? Unless you have a passion to like take care of animals or like farming, like something you could actually live out. Like Rose likes gardening. So maybe Rose Namajunas is just going to be like...
How do you make money off that, Well,
maybe she'll open up a business.
Maybe. And so there's no real... The shelf life of a entertainer and sports is 10 years maybe. If you're lucky.
And you get some good money while you're doing it. But it's not life-changing like it is in boxing for some of those superstars.
And that's the thing. There's only a handful of superstars.
Mm-hmm.
Even the superstars, you even to get to that level is super hard.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So it's one of those things. I don't know.
It's an interesting conversation, and this is something you could keep having. You could have this every 3 months because it's going to be an evolving conversation, and to think about. There's a lot of fighters out there that just say Anderson Silva should have called it quits way before he did, dude. One of the greatest of all times. He didn't know when to say.
Yeah, he kept fighting.
Yeah, there's only a few GSPs that are just like, I'm done.
I mean, you got Nick Diaz coming back soon.
Oh, we didn't bring him up, Vincent Luque. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, he's a fighter, but what is he doing it for though?
Well, Nick's doing it for the money. He has to be.
Because you're not doing a run.
No. But the thing about Nick, he got so fucked, bro. He got fined over $100,000 for smoking weed by the NSAC. Then they suspended him for 2 or 3 years in his prime. It's like, dude, you guys are criminals, and I'm happy to say it right here on the show. Criminals.
Uh-oh.
NSAC. Criminals. Money hungry. What are you doing that to Nick Diaz for? He's still out here fighting at 40 years old because of what you guys did to him. For weed, which is now legal. You should give him back his money.
Yeah,
that's some bullshit. But anyway, so Dana also with the UFC rankings, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to do a new panel. How do I feel about this one? I feel like, and who knows what your take is, right? So I'll be curious to say, but I'll go ahead and say, Khalil should have moved up. Khalil should have moved up at least below Prohaska. Whoever has lost to Alex in that division, Khalil should be at like the bottom of that.
Because he was able to withstand more.
Because, yeah, and like to Dana's point, he fought Alex. So the guys who haven't fought Alex.
I was trying to think of that clip. The guy told when he asked the question at the Dana.
He said because he got knocked out. Khalil got knocked out.
Yeah, he was presenting his case. I kind of was thinking about it too. It was like, how do you move someone up when you got knocked out? That's kind of how he prefaced it.
That's how he prefaced it.
And I get that, actually. I'm like, it's true. You lost. At the end of the day, you lost, and you got knocked out. The reverse side of it, the argument is that, well, he didn't lose as badly as Yuri. He didn't lose badly as Jamal. Those guys got put out sooner, and they didn't test him as much.
Mm-hmm.
That's the argument, right?
Right.
So I kind of see both sides. I don't have a dog in the race. I think Dana White has been upset with the rankings. I don't even know. Is it a committee? I don't even know how it works exactly.
It's a panel of MMA media outlets. Like, they got a bunch of random names. Like, I'll tell you this. There's no MMA Junkie. There's no MMA Fighting. There's no the Mac Life. So it's none of those guys. It's like an
old guard of guys that just have been in the community, or
yeah, like I don't know if you're familiar, but it's called KHON, KHON. It's like Hawaii's news station that follows Max a lot.
Okay.
They repost Max a lot, but they're on the rankings committee, and a bunch of other weird ass names.
I think Dana has had this for a long time with it. He's gotten probably to a boiling point, right, where he keeps on asking, how can we change this? And like he said yesterday too, like, it's on me now. Fuck
right.
it. Like,
enough complaining.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop complaining and fucking try to just do something about it. I always thought that it was an in-house thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know till like maybe a couple years ago. I was like, oh, it's like an outside thing, and I was like, all right, well, I can see how maybe you need a third party to I don't know. I don't even know how to view it as well.
I honestly thought it was like your Kevin Ioli's, your John Morgan's, your Brett Okamoto's. Literally, that's who I thought it was. I for sure thought Brett Okamoto and John Morgan were on the rankings committee for sure. And that's like ESPN. I know that John's not with MMA Junkie anymore, but that would have been MMA Junkie. So I thought like ESPN, MMA Junkie, Yahoo. I thought these were the guys, but none of those guys are on there.
So let's say you created the rankings.
Yeah.
How many people would you allow on the panel to be a part of it?
I'd allow like...
What's the limit? How many people? What's the max number?
Well, I'd give it an odd number.
Okay,
so it can be majority votes.
11 or under 10?
I go 9.
9, okay.
Yeah, go 9.
It would be a 4 or 5 vote every time.
I think there might be like 14 in it now, though, which is crazy.
14 does seem like a lot. Would you add Ariel into it? Give Ariel a spot?
That's a good topic. I want to talk about Ariel too today.
I'll give Ariel a spot, bro. He's certified.
I'll give Ariel a spot, but I'm just worried about like he's so in tune with the fighters.
All right.
That he interviews them and shit, and he can directly benefit monetarily by like putting a guy at number 1 who comes on the show a lot, and now you're gonna get a bunch of views because he's the next title. So
there's that.
Yeah, I don't. Agree. But so I think the media members who kind of show up and don't do interviews, I feel like those are the ones. Like the Mac Life, like I said, kind of the Mac Life.
Does Dana get a seat?
Well, apparently Dana doesn't want a seat because he feels like he would be biased, and I agree because he said there's people he doesn't like. And so you see it all the time with the outlets and everything. If you don't fuck with somebody, you don't really give them that shine. You can't even help it. Like, you just don't want to.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. Like, you don't want to. I've been there.
Let me ask you, do you think he likes Sean or he does not like Sean?
Dana likes Sean O'Malley?
Strickland.
Oh.
I know this is off topic, but
Yeah, I think he likes Sean from afar, but I think if like you were to see those two talk for like 5 minutes, like Dana would clearly Dana would be like, yeah, buddy. Dana ain't. You know how sometimes when you have a conversation with somebody, and you almost feel like it's not worth continuing. Right. I feel like Dana would have a conversation with Sean, and very quickly he would realize it wasn't worth continuing.
Shouldn't have started. Yeah, you should never.
Yeah, and if you don't want
to, it's like when you say hi to somebody, like, all right, yeah, all right.
Yeah, and if you don't want to continue a conversation, that means you don't really fuck with them.
Yeah.
So I guess he doesn't fully fuck with him, but I think he likes him. Like I think he likes him as a fighter and what he brings to the table. But as far as like a personal guy to kick it with, no, I don't think so.
I always, it's always funny when he has remarks about Sean. Oh, Sean sent something again. All right.
Yeah. And Sean be saying stuff about MMA managers.
And so on the panel, someone in the UFC gets a seat. Though it's almost like creating an executive board. Like, does Big John get a seat?
Big John McCarthy?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Okay.
But I almost say, like, why even, right? Why even? Because, okay, if I'm going back to wrestling days, right? When I was in wrestling, it's like, who beats who has, like, the stronger type of schedule. So it should almost be something where it's not really decided by people. It's like you let the numbers speak for themselves.
That's why Dana wants an AI system set in place.
So you can say, if this, then that.
And so it's so unbiased that an AI will just spit out based on all the criteria you just said. So you can input the criteria like, okay, ding, 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 ding. You spit it out on Monday. Right.
And here's what my point would be is like in wrestling, let's say you make it to the championship match, right? So you are you lose the championship match, the first place match in the tournament. You would still, like, in the next tournament, you made it to the finals. So that gets put into play where it's like you made it to the finals. That means you're above everybody else who didn't make it to the finals. So with that being said, in this next tournament, we're going to place you above everybody who didn't make it to the finals. And so that's why I think Khalil should have at least been placed right next to everybody else who made it to the finals against Alex Pereira. Because you made it to the championship, so clearly you are over these guys at this point. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I believe, it should be more of a if this, then that. You beat so-and-so, you get his spot. Like when Buckley beat Vicente Luque, he should have took Vicente Luque's spot, and Vicente Luque took his spot. Mm-hmm. That's how it should work. It shouldn't really be as far as like, oh, I think that Buckley didn't fully perform to his best against Vicente. So instead of taking Vicente's spot, we're going to put him one spot below where Vicente was. Like, that's too personal.
So would you have put Khalil at, let's say, number 2 contender?
I would have probably put him like, who's number 2? Who's number 1 right now? Ankalaev?
No. Alexander. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yuri still. And then Ankalaev.
Okay, so put him below Ankalaev. Or above, actually, shit, based off what I just said, you put him above Ankalaev.
No, I'd put him below. I'd take Yuri back down. I don't know why he's still the number 1. I'd put Ankalaev the number 1. And then put, I like what you're thinking. I'd put Khalil ahead of Yuri and Jamal Hill. Mm-hmm. So he'd be number 2. And then you'd have Yuri or Jamal as number 3, and the rest of the guys fighting for it.
I could see something like that. I don't really mind that.
Because I see what you're trying to say. Like if we're measuring you fighting the best, and these 3 guys all fought the best, but this is the way this guy actually pressured him the most and had the most success against him, you should outrank these other 2 guys then.
Right. Yeah. And so my thing is too with Ankalaev, I'm almost kind of like, don't put him number 1 yet, but I'll agree to this one. Don't put Ankalaev number 1 yet. You could almost put like Roundtree at number 1, right? And Yuri, and then Ankalaev. And if Ankalaev beats Rakic, move him above Yuri. So he'll be like number 2. Or you could put him above Roundtree, number 1. So I can, because Roundtree lost to Pereira, now Ankalaev just extended his winning streak to like 5 or 6. So I could see like sometimes you don't have to beat the guy to take his place. But for sure, like, there should be more uniformity. Like, okay, he just fought the champion, he lost, but he's up there with that echelon of fighters now. Until other fighters can prove that they can hang with the champion, they're not above Khalil. Like, simple, you know. And if Ankalaev beats Rakic, then he can be put above Khalil to be number one for the title fight.
You know what I feel like? This is the scene from, you ever watch Always Sunny?
Not really, no, but I know the show.
There's a scene when Charlie's in the war room, where he got one string to this string to this string to this string to this string. That's what we're doing right now.
It's like a whole fucking like jigsaw.
Dude, it'll make you go crazy because it's like.
And that's why Dana's like, it's literally driving me crazy. I have to change this.
Yeah. Now I'm interested to see what they do.
I'm interested. I think AI or like some type of algorithm or something like that might be. I just feel like it should be a standard. Like, you beat him, you take his spot. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, let's just make it simple.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. And you know, you're gonna you put two people in a room, you're gonna get two different opinions, right? God forbid you put 14 people in a room. Humans are humans.
I think there just has to be a somewhat of a grading scale. If there's zero grading scale, you're gonna get, like you just said, humans being humans. Yeah. But if there's a grading scale, it could be like, well, no, the scale says this, so regardless of what you feel, this is the rule set we have to go off of.
Is there a scale set in place now that we don't know of?
Who knows? But I doubt it. The fact that you can't even take the guy's spot who you just beat, if that's not a fucking uniform rule, I doubt they have any rules. Because that's
Alexa,
the first uniform.
How does the UFC rankings work?
I don't have an answer for that.
Nobody does.
That's the clip.
Yeah. Okay. So
even Alexa don't know. You telling me Jeff Bezos doesn't know?
No, you don't know. Okay, so I guess we'll wrap it up with these couple topics real quick. PFL. Okay. Oh, wait, let me just make sure. Let me look at. I just want to make sure we get the best ones that I thought of earlier. Okay. No. We need to talk about Ariel and Belal Muhammad beefing. That's what we need to talk about.
Okay.
Because that's a great topic. Okay. And we got one viewer. We got one viewer.
And I read one of these, the Lafayette DC don't fuck with Buckley.
Yeah, how funny is that?
He does.
Yeah. I told Buck, I think he fucks with him. I said he looks at him as like a little nephew, a younger brother type of deal. I think he fucks with him. How do you not fuck with Buck? Anyway.
He's rooting for him.
Yeah, we'll touch on that one. But for our one current viewer right now, I got a topic. Ariel Helwani, Belal Muhammad beefing. Big deal. Racism is coming into play. Palestine versus Israel. Jewish versus Muslim.
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming into play right now. Do you want me to read you some of the comments?
Okay.
Ariel started it.
Really?
Ariel brought up the race first yesterday.
Like just through Twitter?
Yeah, so basically, Ariel said about Tom Aspinall, there's this whole thing. Ariel keeps asking about how, did the time change affect you? It's a fair question. I would ask that to my guests too. Were you affected by a time change? It's a case-by-case basis. Mm-hmm. Belal feels like Ariel is low-key trying to make excuses for Leon by asking Tom if he was affected. I don't think that's the case. But whatever, like, I get what Belal's argument is as far as, like, stop bringing this up because we both dealt with it.
Because it happened, like, at 2, 3 in the morning, right?
Yeah, it happened at 2, 3 in the morning, and they were both fighting throughout the night. So, like, but at the end of the day, these guys are fighting under the same circumstances. So it is one of those things where it's like, sure, you're affected, but your opponent went through the same thing.
It's the same time, yeah.
And that's what Belal's saying. Belal's saying, well, if Leon was affected, I went through the same thing. So it's not like I cheated. So anyway.
No, he didn't cheat.
No, so anyway, though, this is it. So Ariel and Belal were going back and forth about that. The Tom Aspinall thing. Belal went on his show and was like, fuck Ariel, he's talking all this shit again, even though I just explained to you he wasn't really talking shit, he's just asking a question. Now, Ariel responded with like some big thing that I didn't happen to screen shot, but I have the other part. He goes, no, you know what, I gotta read the whole thing. Let me just go to Ariel. Okay. God, Ariel's been killing it with his fucking thing. This guy has like 30 posts just from today off his show.
Oh, I bet. I mean, he's had what, 15 interviews probably
this week.
No, 12. Yeah, 12 big interviews this week.
Yeah, dude, the guy's definitely doing his thing. But the funny part is that Ariel is basically doing what I've been doing, which is the craziest thing. That just kind of shows that like what I've been doing is right.
Yeah.
Like creating my own media company. That's basically what Ariel's done. Uncrowned. That Instagram has like 2,000 followers right now. Okay.
Yeah, and he's been doing it for 10, 15 years, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So here it is. Here is... So Ariel said...
He knows what he's doing when he...
I'll play you like 10 seconds.
Okay. When he tries to bring these questions to fighters and he tries to get you to hate on him. And he's been wanting to get people to make excuses for why Leon lost his fight. Even Leon's missing, right? He hasn't gone on a show, but he's looking for that. So you're going to ask the guy that won by knockout on that card, like a moron, hey, you know, the time change was a difference for him. So that would mean it was a time change was a difference for Razor Blades, too. Maybe that affected Razor Blades. Aspinall was from there. Aspinall won by knockout, you moron. Paddy Pimblett won by knockout, you moron. And, you know, what's his face? Leon Edwards, he hired the sleeping coach from NASCAR. But Ariel is just a pure hater. He's been hating on me this is my career.
Okay. So Ariel...
Has you ever interviewed Belal?
Belal has his own show with John Anik's brother.
Okay.
And by the way, you know John Anik has a full head of hair, right?
I don't think I ever didn't think that, but...
No, John Anik, you know how he's bald?
Yeah.
You know that he's not like a Joe Rogan bald. Like, Joe Rogan, if he grows his hair out, it looks like shit.
I didn't even think about it, to tell you the truth, but...
I'm just telling you, if John Anik grows his hair out, it would look like $1 million. I don't know why he shaves his head bald. Look at his brother. Look at the locks on his brother.
I can't really see it, but I can see it. I have to look it up on my phone.
Yeah, his brother's got some crazy long hair.
All right.
Anyway, let me read it to you, right?
How do we get on air? Go ahead.
Okay. Ariel says, I only hear one dude throwing a lot of insults and hating. I've never done that, even though Belal always claims otherwise. Same old, same old. And then Ariel just explained his question, which I did, so I'm not going to do that. And then Ariel responded to one of these people.
Yeah, we're in the comments.
Yeah. And so a fan said, from the outside looking in, you don't mind him, but he absolutely hates you. Seems as though he is creating these issues with you in his head. And then Belal's creating these issues with Ariel in his head. And then Ariel responded to that and said, this is where it gets racist. Not that Ariel got racist, but race comes into play.
Yeah.
He goes, yup, and he has been for years. Since the first time he told his then manager that I don't like him before we ever met, because in his words, where his family is from, Gaza. And Ariel's family's from Israel.
Yeah.
And so he says, next time I covered an event he was on, I went straight to him first to clear the air. Never good enough. I'm always the clown, hater, etc. Weird. Okay? So that's that. Then Ali Abdelaziz came into play.
That's the guy that was at the Bellator event?
Yeah. And kept the race card going. Ariel said, I'm sick of this guy and I blocked him a long time ago, but somebody should tell him and any of his team members, when I see them, they may be slapped. Leon Edwards took his whooping like a man and nobody needs to make an excuse for him. Wait a minute, that's not the part, this is the part. Ali said, this big-nosed coward, he's been kicked out the UFC for being a piece of shit. Good job, Dana White, getting rid of this cancer. So he said, this big-nosed coward. And then there's actually a clip that somebody posted of Ali sitting on Ariel's show, telling him, if someone ever says calls you a big nose because you're Jewish, they're a piece of shit. And somebody reposted that clip somehow from like years ago, right under what Ali said. So I just unpacked for you the Belal Muhammad Ariel beef, the Jew versus the Palestinian, the Israeli versus the Gaza, the UFC champion versus the #1 journalist in MMA.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in because there's so much history between those two countries that it's that's deep, right? It's deep, and yeah, I don't even know how to react to it. Just first of all, Bilal would fuck Ariel Hup in real life.
Let's break it down.
Yeah, I mean, I
Does
was
Ariel have some bias having Belal on his show as the proud Jew that Ariel is? And with Belal reposting Gaza on his Instagram once a week.
you, it's one of those things that it's like our country. You know, there's deep rooted racism in the United States that we're never going to get away from, and so half of the country feels one way, the other half of the country feels one way. You bring Israel and Gaza, that you're talking about centuries of this underlying war going on between all these countries in the Middle East with Jewish and the Muslim community, that it's people, these two people are going to feel a certain way because of their history. Bottom line, Bilal can't run from where he is and where he grew up and how he grew up. Ariel can't run from the fact that he's Jewish and that's how he's raised and how he feels. And I always resort back to Ariel. Sometimes I think he's out of pocket for the way he talks to fighters, because in real life he would never have the ability to really say that to them. Like behind closed doors, Bilal and Ariel Ariel couldn't say anything like that. Like Bilal would just choke you and you'd be on the floor fucking and choke the fuck out, and he'd walk out of the room and act like nothing happened.
But then Ariel would play that card of like, oh my God, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Well, of course. Oh, he should. What did we talk about, that WWE guy and fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He has to keep the journalist.
He's like, oh.
Yeah. When you run across a real one like that, the consequences. So Ariel, but this conversation's so deeply rooted within the communities of these two nations that, it's my initial reaction when you tell me was like, whoa, like that's a lot to take in.
All right, so let me give you my thing based off what you're saying, right? And we're gonna go for 11 more minutes. We'll go for 6:40 just because I gotta get some shit going. I'm sure you gotta go too. So we've been here for a couple hours. And my girl's got a shower too. I've been locking her out. Anyway,
he's like, I got like 4 things going on.
Right. Refresh me real quick. Oh, okay.
Hello.
Belal, Ariel, Gaza shit. You can't help it as far as your inner kind of like irritation between these communities. And I'll give you an example. Growing up where I grew up, I'm in my spot. I go to my high school, but my rival high school is Dana Hills, right? Okay. I used to say to my homies, right? And I had kids on the wrestling team also agreeing with me and telling me the same shit. That the enemy school of mine, Dana Hills, when I'm at a wrestling tournament in high school and one of Dana Hills' guys loses to somebody who's not even on my team, it makes me happy. Like, I had an inner joy. I like to see them lose. I enjoyed seeing it. I wanted to see it. Right. That's a fact. I used to tell people that. I used to be like, oh, like, I love to watch them lose. Like, that guy just fucked him up. He doesn't even like go to my school, but he's from like another school. And
as long as they lost.
As long as my rival loses, I'm happy. It makes me joyous. And I feel like Ariel with the whole Gaza thing, how can you control that? Even with Belal probably doesn't fuck with Ariel because he's Jewish and proud of it. Like, Ariel doesn't even eat cheese on a burger. Mm-hmm. Because I guess you can't mix life with death. And milk is life, and then a meat is a dead cow. So you can't mix the two. But, and I don't know this, all I know is from watching Ariel. So there's that level of racism, and let me add another level to it. Not that level of racism, but underlying, right? You can't help but fuck with people with certain things that happen. One other aspect of this is with Belal Muhammad, with his delayed title shot. There's also an argument again, because who owns the UFC? Who owns WME, IMG, or whatever the hell, TKO? Ari Emanuel, what is his ethnicity?
Isn't he Jewish?
Jewish.
Yeah.
And then you got Belal, Palestinian, in the middle of this war. How long wasn't he being held out this time? throughout this whole process. He was held out throughout the whole process of the war. And some people have theories that like, oh shit, is there some underlying like racism amongst like the owner of the UFC, the big top dog of TKO, and then you got Belal, a Muslim, who's gonna not only win the title but broadcast that flag to the world.
Yeah.
And if you own a company and you can control one of your athletes taking that flag and putting it around his shoulders with the world championship on, you recognize how much clout that gives. Mm-hmm. And so part of me was like, shit, you know, is that what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say just due to the fact that, you know, you got Islam, who's Muslim as well.
But he's not representing the Palestinian flag.
Yeah. But they are still speaking out on it.
They do, for sure.
Because of the
Muslim.
Jew versus, you know, Muslim community. So, I mean, you have a lot of these guys, you know, Habib, one of the GOATs, Islam becoming a GOAT, all the Nurmagomedov's guys that are in that camp as well, Chimaev, I believe, as well. So, I mean, if the UFC were to fight that battle, that's a crazy battle to fight.
Yeah. Personally, I don't think that they did.
Business. I don't think so either, personally.
But that's a great like argument. That's a great.
I mean, there's a case that could be opened for it.
It's a great case, and I'm sure Belal thought that at somewhere down the line. I guarantee you, Belal was like, "Dude, Ari Emanuel owns this bitch. I ain't getting my opportunity. Why?" Because you got to keep in mind, Dana, when he's like, "Oh, we offered Leon 3 title fights, and none of those guys were Belal." That happened like 6 months ago.
You know, and I think big picture too. It's like, honestly, Belal and Ariel, what they're really doing is adding more flame to the fire. And it's almost like what we see here in the United States. It's the perfect way I can give an analogy from people not from the United States. There's almost like a civil war going on within our own communities from, you know, one half to the other half. And we see it every day on the news cycles, you know, of one side, the immigrants are, you know, basically damaging all of our cities when the country was raised on immigrants, you know. And so, can there be bad apples? Of course there can. Are there bad apples in Palestine and Gaza? Of course there are. Are there bad apples in the Jewish, you know, in Israel? Yeah, you know. And so that, you know, human nature is gonna bring that to the forefront. And I circle back around with, you know, Belal and Ariel have a bigger responsibility to their own communities and to their own people to not put more flame on the fire.
That's a good point.
There's so, I mean, we're literally seeing rockets from, you know, that could erupt into a fucking crazy war that we don't even know what the repercussions could be to start World War III.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot on the line over there, and for these two men that are living in the United States, that have these type of conversations. And you know what's interesting, when you had interviewed Joaquin, that I didn't think about, you can't let someone online kind of sneak dish you without retaliating.
Right.
I never thought about that, you know.
Facts.
I never really, until Joaquin kind of said, I was like, okay, I get that. You can't let someone kind of talk shit about you and then you don't clap back.
Because it's that public image.
Yeah, and that's the world we live in now.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Ariel and Belal are feeding into that as well. And then you add the layer of, they are from where they are, so they're going to feel a certain way. You know, whatever homeboy said about the nose thing. Ooh, that was that's a jab right there. That's a jab.
That was kind of fucked up.
Yeah. I think that was my initial reaction, like, ooh.
Yeah,
I think that. I'm gonna have to take a back. I'm like, ain't nothing to see here. I don't know if I got anything to say on that one.
Right, because what's the next response? Like for Ariel to call him like a derogatory Muslim term? Right. I guess the T word, right?
Yeah.
But that's not right. Yeah. So Ariel didn't do that. I definitely think though that he escalates. I'm gonna fault Ariel on this one. It's the same rule, right? He can't fold on camera. He knows he has to go on a show the next day, and so he's not going to take the high road and be like, you know what, let's just have peace. Instead, he's going to like clap back. That's going to come with its own repercussions. So he's going to have to deal with that when he has to deal with that. You know, that's on him. My thing though is like, you should leave the religion out of it at the end of the day. Like the religion doesn't really have any place I'm like a Christian, right? My dad took me to church as not a Catholic, but a Christian. But I don't go here telling people my religious beliefs because I feel like not everybody's a Christian, not everybody's a Catholic, and you're going to alienate people when you're doing that. Just like how Ariel constantly talks about his Jewish heritage on his show, Belal knew enough about his heritage to be like, he probably doesn't like my people, so I don't want to come on. And that's the exact reason why I don't really bring it up, because that just brings it, and it's unnecessary. It's my beliefs. It's what I was raised with. You were born into something else. There's no conversation, like, just leave it alone. It's not really your life's purpose on your platform to talk about your religion. It's an MMA show.
It's crazy because I'm not religious. I grew up with, I don't even know, Catholic.
But that's the thing. Some people aren't. And so if I were to be shoving down like, oh, I'm Christian, down somebody's throat, constantly mentioning God, it's putting somebody else in a weird position. And I totally recognize that, and I don't fault you for that. That's like you sharing non-belief values to me constantly. There's no really a place for it.
Mm-hmm. No, this is a deep conversation, and we're talking about humanity almost,
Yeah.
We're talking about like beyond fighting, about, us all being human beings. And at the end of the day, if you can just try to be a good person, help all these religions, they all kind of are saying the same thing, But when you have centuries, it's almost like when you think about, we talked about Boosie in the ganglands here in like, United States.
A little hypnotized.
Yeah, you're talking about countries that have had these rooted wars, for centuries. No wonder why you're going to feel a certain way about another nation, country, religion, because for the past 100 years, since you were a kid, we've been killing each other over this idea.
Yeah.
Ideology, religion, region, so it's a deep conversation on Parry Punch and MMA Homie that, I respect for you for bringing it up and, having a dialogue about it. And I just hope that it doesn't turn into something worse between those two men.
Those three men. You got Ali up in the mix too.
Well, I mean, it's just a whole trail, right?
Yeah. And then you got other people who are a part of these religions on the low-key back end who are reading this all. And
this is almost like, think about this. This is why I think Sean, what he does is so dangerous.
Yeah.
To bring Sean into it. Imagine what Sean thinks about folk.
Oh, yeah, Sean, are you kidding me?
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh, you're an American motherfucker. Fuck you and fuck you.
Yeah. So it's a whole nother layer to it, I guess you could say. But definitely,
America.
Yeah. America's one thing, but then when you're like Jewish, Muslim, that's a whole nother fucking thing. Okay, we basically got a minute left, but I was just going to bring something up.
Shout out to Joaquin. Hey, DC loves you, homie.
Yeah. Okay, let's touch on that one real quick. So Joaquin says that Lafayette DC, don't fuck with him. But TV DC fucks with him because he co-signed him for his Kamaru Usman call out. But he feels like low-key, he can't feel in his heart of hearts that DC fucks with him until he gives him that training session.
When I saw that, I respect that too. Like I can feel that. Like, hey, bro, like, kind of, it's almost giving you a stamp of approval. Even a slight, like on TV, like when you're kind of like, grappling and shit, other people see that, like, oh shit.
Like him and Alex Pereira.
Yes.
Yeah, DC and Alex.
It's a stamp of approval almost. It's giving you that nod of respect level,
So you noticed that too. He didn't say like fully like train with me. He said he hasn't even fake wrestled with me in like in private in a little room. So he wants anything, just a little sign of affection from DC. DC, show Buck a little sign of affection. He's going to be the champ. He's coming for that title. Give him a little affection.
Yeah,
help him out.
And I think little by little DC's giving him his flowers, I think he's giving him tough love.
It's tough love.
I think that when the day comes that the dust settles, and DC's in his 50s and Buckley's about to be champ and retire or whatever, however his career pans out, they'll look at each other, they'll be on the whatever they're gonna be doing, be like, man, you see, and they're like, no, I appreciate that, DC.
You think he's keeping him motivated?
That, and I just think he's giving them really tough love. Those guys that just give you, they don't say you're doing a good job.
But what's the reason for tough love? For extra motivation?
Better, give you that to get you to push you.
Yeah.
Get better. Hey, no days off, motherfucker.
Right.
I'm not giving you 1 inch to fucking breathe. Keep going. Oh, you tired? Let's go again.
Right. He gives Alex that little cosign because he's already the champ.
Yeah, so, you know, and you can kind of, you know, fuck around with him at that point because you are championship. But it's in this aspect, it's almost like I'm not going to give you an inch. I'm not even going to let you think I like you, bro. Mm-hmm. Like what Bill Belichick didn't let. Everybody thought Tom Brady didn't even think Bill Belichick liked him. He was winning Super Bowl for.
But you know, Buckley's asking for an ass beating from Daniel. Like he said, he's like, if I get fucked up in, because I don't think I put this part in the clip, but Joaquin said, if I get fucked up in the gym, that means I can go into a fight and fuck someone else up. So DC, he's letting you. He's saying you're gonna fuck him up. Just go train with him, help him out, because I think it would help out Joaquin's skill set a lot to train with a guy like DC. Set aside all the beef, help him out. And one other thing I want to say, Joaquin on my show said that one thing DC was fully right about is he doesn't have to put on a brother or anybody based off their race. It's not his prerogative. So Joaquin took that one back. He came out hot with that one. He's like, DC hasn't put on one brother in the UFC, but he took that back. So
I think DC, I think they, for whatever reason, they don't like the way Joaquin approached the way to put his name out there. But on the back end of that, he got his name out there, and that was the end goal. We could go back and look at what DC did to put his name out there. We could go back there and look.
DC called out Brock Lesnar. Don't forget.
DC did all kinds of shit.
Yeah, DC. We don't forget.
Yeah, if young DC and Joaquin were kicking and shit, they'd be like, bro, we're gonna go do this right now. Let's go do it. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
They'd be riling each other up.
Facts. Let's go fight Brock Lesnar.
It's almost like that. That old dog that's like just kind of grumpy, like, and the young pup like trying to like, hey, kid, let's go play. Like, get off me, man.
Yeah. That's so funny. No, that's exactly how they are, huh? That's exactly it.
I think little by little, he just keeps growing on DC, and you keep winning, you keep growing. Then you get those bigger interviews and those bigger interactions, and then you get that time. Oh, man, your championship fight's up next. Shit, woo, let's go.
Right. Hey, so this is how we'll end it, right?
Yeah.
Buckley called out. Usman, Covington, Sean Brady. I'm doubtful Leon Edwards is coming out before the end of the year because Buckley wants to fight before the end of the year. So if we try to help him out with what he wants, I'm going to take Leon out of it. But you can keep Leon in if you want to. But
I'd say Sean Brady's the perfect one.
Sean Brady? I'm going to try to get him on the show. I'm going to try to get him on, and I'm going to ask him if he wants to fight Buck.
Because he's on the rise. He has his win streak. And I think that's a great matchup.
Yeah.
Sean Brady's dangerous on the ground. Super dangerous on the ground. It's would test Joaquin on because if you're gonna get to that level and you're gonna play like Shavkat Rakhmonov, Shavkat's very dangerous on the ground. Mm-hmm. So if you can't pass Sean Brady and test yourself there, it's a great test. It's a great test.
Yeah, I think actually fans are
looking too.
Right, I've been reading in comments. Fans think Buckley's gonna walk through Brady. And I actually agree that that's a good fight. I respect Brady's skill set 100%.
So if I'm Brady and what we just talked about with Renat, Brady brings it to the ground.
Right.
Test Joaquin there and see if he's comfortable.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
If he's comfortable and he can show everybody and us that he's ready for that next stage of MMA, he's deadly on the feet. You're talking about his wrestling. So let's see that full arsenal now. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's going to be the next evolution of where his career is going to go.
Yeah.
If he showed you're dangerous on the ground and you can handle these grapplers on the ground and handle these jiu-jitsu specialists, watch out.
Right.
Watch out.
I think Buckley and Brady would end up being a striking match, or I think Buckley might even end up getting a takedown on Brady. So
this is what makes it would be exciting. Yeah. We answer a lot of questions. See, all these questions are be like, okay, what would happen?
Right.
Oh, let's line them up. Let's really see what would happen. And they're in the rankings, so it would be a good matchup. If they give even Ian Gary to Colby, and that doesn't work out, if I'm Buckley, I'm calling Ian Gary the fuck out.
You're calling Ian. Okay, this was my take, and then so this is what I have to say for it. You want Buckley to call out Gary or Sean Brady. Sean Brady first or Gary. I have a similar take.
Think Gary's a better call out because he's such on the right. Ian Gary's here, Sean's here.
But the thing about, okay, so there's a few intricacies. Number one, the thing about Buckley and Gary is they're on the opposite time window right now. See, Gary's already like got a fight booked, and Buckley just ended his fight.
Well, we don't know if he does.
We don't know, but
he
Ian's...
did call him out. He did post that today. Ian Gary did post, "Hey, Kobe, you're supposed to where you at?"
Right. So yeah. Ian's supposed to come back before end of year. Buckley's Russian, so maybe it could happen where they meet each other. But here was actually my take, because like I said in the past, I want Ian and Gary to fight for millions. They're two young guys, two surging contenders. Don't knock each other off yet. Ian and Buckley.
Okay.
So with that being said, I think, because I don't want them to fight yet, I think if Colby doesn't give Ian the work, then okay, Colby, you're kind of ducking Ian there. So you don't want Ian. Take a step lower and go for Joaquin.
Get the fuck out of the top 15.
Okay, if that's the case, right? But I say,
where are our ranking people at?
Yeah, if you don't want to fight Ian, then you fight Joaquin. You fight even lower, okay? And I think that if that doesn't happen, Joaquin, and this is a different take, right? But I've been listening to Joaquin and what he wants, so I'm also saying what he wants. I believe. If not Colby.
You get a text tomorrow like, bro, I wasn't saying that.
I know, fuck you, bro. No. If not Colby, Joaquin and Kamaru Usman headline UFC Fight Night, first quarter 2025.
Now, fuck that. Put him on a big fight. UFC 311, fucking co-main.
Well, okay, this is okay. Fair enough, right? Because I said 311 in our hometown, LA. I want Buck over here.
Is that where 311's at?
311's in LA in January. I told him.
Staples Center?
Probably. Or Honda Center in Anaheim.
Ooh.
I believe it's Honda Center. They have to come to Honda Center 3 times a year. That's my backyard because I'm in OC.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'll be there.
Buckley, when I told him that whole thing about like 311, he was like, I think Kamaru would want 5 rounds, so we would have to main event. And Buckley's been calling for a main event. Yeah, so Buckley's also been calling for a main event for a while. I think he personally wants to headline a card. He obviously knows he can't headline a UFC 307 type thing, so he has to headline a fight night. That's why I was saying I've been listening to Buck, and I'm trying to say like what he wants. So I think Kamaru Usman, headliner for a UFC Fight Night, first quarter 2024. I guess Kamaru, he feels like Kamaru wants 5 rounds. He wouldn't want to fight him 3 rounds.
I get that, and that tests him to show us where he's at in 5 rounds too.
Right.
I want to see that too.
I love it, especially for a number 1 contender. Throw him in a 5-round bout.
I'm with that.
Okay, so that's what Buck wants. At least that's what I think. Hopefully I got it right.
Let it the fuck up, Hunter.
All right. Hunter, Mick, I think actually his matchmaker is Sean Shelby.
All of them.
Let's go. Sean Shelby, I know you're listening. I fuck with Sean Shelby. All right, bro. We'll get back together next week, next Wednesday for show number 4. But we actually got 4 viewers concurrent right now, so that's not bad.
Hey, shout out to all the Parry Punch homies and the MMA homies. We're gonna have to create you a tribe or like a clan or the Parry Punch Road Dogs, or I don't know what we want.
We're gonna have to get some emojis for the fans to drop in the chat and shit like that.
Yeah. You know, you should tell the fans like, hey, what are we gonna call you, motherfuckers? Like, you're the Road Dogs for Parry Punch, the crew, the clan.
Well, if there's any names, comment it below, and we'll read it. And in the future too, like the video, comment, and we'll respond to you guys in real time too. If you got some good comments, we'll read them and give you some shine too. That way you guys can feel like you're a part of it all.
That part.
All right, bro. Next week, we'll get back together again, but thanks for coming on again.
All right.
All right.
Cool, bro.
Later, brother.